Good afternoon, good morning, good night. We are live streaming. Please be seated. Welcome, and thank you for spending your time with us today. As Pacifica Graduate Institute President and CEO, it is my privilege and honor to welcome everyone here to our graduation and those who are joining us online for the live stream. Today marks the first time that Pacifica has been able to host an in-person graduation since 2019. So graduates, guess what? We made it, you made it. For this significance that today carries, and for many other reasons, I am truly looking forward to this meaningful event to celebrate our graduates, their families, friends, our faculty, our staff, and our partners who helped to get them here to our graduation, Pacifica Graduation 2023. To help us open today's ceremony with a blessing and acknowledgement of the land. But let me take a moment to reflect upon the lands we sit today. As each of us recognize our universal human connection to our planet, our being of the earth, and our indebtedness to the Chumash people, it is important to understand the long-standing history that has brought all of us to reside on this land. Each of us seeks to understand our place within that history in different and varied ways. Land acknowledgements do not exist in a past tense or historical context. Colonialism is a current ongoing process, and we need to build the mindfulness of our present participation. And as Pacifica commits to and embraces our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, we must acknowledge that our academic institution is situated upon traditional territories of the Chumash and Gabrielina Santa Monica Mountains, the Tongva peoples, the first human inhabitants of the Channel Islands and the Santa Monica Mountains. We pay deep respect to elders of the past, present, and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, and the culture of this area, which has become a place of learning for people from all over the world. Offering the invocation and reflections this morning, I am pleased to share with all of us our Board of Trustees Chair, Dr. Diane Goodman.
Good morning, Pacifica community, friends, family, and the 2023 graduates. Big round of applause for you. I have the honor this morning to open with the invocation, a prayer for the graduates. And so I ask right now that you lift your heads or bow your heads or whatever position you may find more comfortable for you and open for you as we give honor to the time that we're here together. Almighty Creator, as we gather today, we thank you for the blessing of learning. Thank you for the privilege of studying in our chosen areas and gaining new skills. May each graduate today feel proud and enjoy celebrating their success. Lord, we pray that they would be able to use this qualification and knowledge to go out and bless the world. Please foster within them a continued passion for learning as they journey onwards. And thank you for every aspect of their time with us, the knowledge gained, the friendships made, and the dreams and visions that they carry in their hearts. As we dedicate this celebration to you, Almighty Creator, we thank you for leading and guiding us all. Amen. And now that we have our loved ones in this space with us physically as well as in the spiritual realm, thank you for bringing their light in. I would like to bring back to the stage Dr. Lee for some words from the president. As president and CEO of Pacifica Graduate Institute, Dr. Leonie H. Mattison is leading the institute in advancing its mission in 3 key areas: elevating learner outcomes, expanding Pacifica's impact, and empowering organizational development with a commitment to make depth psychology accessible to all people. We have reflected on our past. We have reflected on our departed. We are in this room in the present moment with the most amazing people who will be going out into the world tending souls that are already doing this, but now leaving with this degree to further elevate it. And now Dr. Lee is prepared to move Pacifica onward and forward. Let's bring back to the stage Dr. Leonie Mattison.
At this time, please allow me to introduce myself to those who I do not yet know, and I use the word yet. My name is Leonie H. Mattison. I prefer to be called Dr. Lee. And I do have the honor today, I must say, of having my birth mother here with me. Her name is Joy Lawrence, and she's here. And my daughters are here with me as well. And my second mother, so I have 2 mothers, and Veronica is here with me today, supporting us. And that is very special. I missed the moments when I graduated from college, high school, and even elementary school. And my mother was a hardworking mom, and she was traveling. So I celebrate you for being here with me today, with us. Thank you. Having started in this role as Pacifica's president and CEO last October 2022, I realized that the graduates in front of us today had already been through most of their program, either finishing coursework or deep into their dissertation phase when I started. I'm very moved by the magnitude of responsibility that I feel today in my spirit, in my being, of what it means to be a member of this community and to be charged with helping to usher our future while holding to the traditions with helping and what has helped us to be in this room today. A tradition, a mission, and a vision of what Pacifica is and who we can become. I promise to ensure your time, the value of your degree, and the place you return to visit, and hopefully get to give back to, will be one you will continue to be proud of. In the spirit of gratitude, let us take a moment to acknowledge all those who made this event possible and all those present, whether here or virtual. Thank you to the Hilton for their hospitality and support. Special thank you to the many faculty and staff who spearheaded the organization of this event, in addition to the tireless efforts of their everyday service, and you know who you are. Efforts to involve the community and engage with our alumni through continuing education opportunities, outreach, support, and open communication are of notable importance. We look forward to continuing to provide initiatives that align with our mission and our strategic priorities to elevate learner outcomes. Elevate learner outcomes. Expand Pacifica's mission and empower organizational development. Our 2023 graduating class consists of 224 graduates with over 150 in attendance today. These graduates come from 8 academic programs, earning 13 different kinds of degrees. This graduating class came to us from 30 states and across 6 countries, including Canada, Japan, the United Arab Emirates, Uganda, and Mexico. Pacifica is truly a global community. But no matter where you live or how far you travel throughout your degree pursuit, the commitment and dedication it takes to arrive at today is truly admirable, but nobody does it alone. The hours, the physical, emotional, and soulful toll it takes to navigate through the rigors of coursework, thesis or dissertation research, and clinical training or field work is not for the craven or isolated. It requires immense courage, support, understanding, and often forgiveness. Forgiveness from those who support us, right? Forgiveness and understanding of our love from our loved ones, the people who are closest to us in our lives. So to the family, friends, and loved ones who supported our graduates along their journey and allowed them to get here today, can I ask you to please stand and let's give them a round of applause. Family members, our family, loved ones, go ahead, stand and let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. We honor you. To our often underseen staff, who are the nails, brackets, and beams that help Pacifica to keep Pacifica upright, the late Pacifica elder James Hillman once said, and this is what he said of Pacifica: there are many people who work, have jobs, and work toward retirement, but the people who work at Pacifica all seem to be people of purpose. I find that there's that communality of individuals who have something to do. There are differences among faculty and staff in their pursuits. They're not always in agreement. They're not always in agreement on the way to do things, but they agreed on dedication. The faculty, the staff, our learners, our board of trustees, join a fellowship. You learn as much that fellowship, and you learn as much from that fellowship as you do from reading from faculty and classes. While Dr. Hellman said that many years ago, I find those words ring true even today. There is a core belief in Pacifica as a force for good that permeates the community, no matter your job or role. That dedication is further evidenced by the many long-tenured staff we have, and I'd like to recognize a few of them today who are celebrating their service anniversaries in 2023. One, Zamara, our facilities lead at Lambert campus, is celebrating 35 years at Pacifica, and he doesn't look a year older than 34. Nina Falls, program administrator of too many programs to name, is celebrating 30 years at Pacifica. Richard Buchan, our reference librarian and dance extraordinaire, is celebrating 25 years at Pacifica. Mary Haney, student accounts manager and best friends to many students here at Pacifica, is celebrating 20 years at Pacifica. And Francine Mattison, our trusted registrar and organizer of so much of today, is celebrating 20 years at Pacifica. While true, many of our staff are probably behind the walls, preparing for after the ceremony and organizing from pre-ceremony work, can I ask all the staff in the room to please stand and receive a round of applause? Where are our staff? Thank you. Now, to our beloved faculty, your wise guides, your soulful sages, curious and willing collaborators, facilitators, and even your challengers. The materials faculty provide, the experiences they create in the classroom, and their engagements with learners are the products of Pacifica. That is where the Pacifica magic happens. The mission of our educational approach and what our faculty aims to deliver is not to download the memorization of theories or supposed answers simply. Our transformative education provides learners with tools for exploration so that their education does not conclude at the end of the quarter or year or even at graduation, but rather becomes a lifetime insatiable pursuit of learning, curiosity, and growth. Our faculty bring a passion, a multitude of passion for nurturing souls, not merely shaping minds, to help learners find their voices, a language, and a courage to use it. Our faculty fosters a sense of sensibility and attunement to what is in your heart and what is being asked of us and the world around us to meet its challenges. Let me recognize some of our faculty whose years at Pacifica are also marked by an anniversary in 2023. Professor Jorge De La Ho from the MA Counseling Program celebrates 25 years at Pacifica, and we'll hear about him very shortly. Professor, quote, Juicy Elizabeth Nelson. She knows what that means. Our core faculty in the DPT program and multiple other programs, as well as research teaching Dynamo, celebrates 20 years at Pacifica. And Professor Matthew Bennett. co-chair of her counseling department and faculty leader, who will soon be embarking on his well-deserved sabbatical, celebrates 15 years at Pacifica. Continuing to recognize, celebrate, and showcase the amazing accomplishment and work of our faculty and learners is a top priority moving forward. Today's faculty highlight is the recent announcement of Dr. Susan Rowland, core faculty in our hybrid programs, DJA and DCH, who was honored recently by the International Association of Jungian Studies as a C.G. Jung Award recipient for 2023. So congratulations, Dr. Rowland. To properly acknowledge the impact and contributions to our graduates, can I ask all our faculty, whether you're core, adjunct, or contributing, please stand and receive a round of applause for our gratitude. Today, I'm also honored with the announcement of 3 faculty emeriti, the highest recognition bestowed upon retiring faculty at Pacifica. Dr. Avedis Panagian has earned Professor Emeritus status. He has spent over 30 years at Pacifica in the clinical psychology program. As reflected by his colleagues, he's recognized as a beloved master teacher in psychoanalytical psychotherapy. In addition to his work at Pacifica, he's a fellow of the International Psychoanalytical Association, a certified psychoanalyst, researcher, licensure examiner, senior lecturer, supervisor, distinguished educator, award winner, and licensed psychologist in California. After his recent retirement, he has continued to stay connected and supported the program, notably through dissertation committee work. And in everything he does, he serves with a pearl of humorous, humbled, and muscled wisdom. And we thank you, Dr. Panagian, and look forward to your continued contributions to Pacifica through your emeritus status. Professor Jorge De La Hoy, M.A., LMFT, J.A., STR, as his co-chairs noted, he has been a long-standing and much-beloved instructor for generations of students in the MA counseling program and holds critical leadership positions within the department. Originally a school teacher for 36 years, he's also an IAAP certified Jungian analyst and registered sand play therapist who has maintained private practice alongside his vibrant teaching career at Pacifica. In 2011, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Award from Pacifica Graduate Institute. He also plays a leading role at the C.G. Jung Study Center of Southern California. He remains an analytical member of the International Association of Analytical Psychology and Analytical Psychology Club in Los Angeles. We send him and his family our congratulations and gratitude. And third, our Professor Patrick, no, I'm going to butcher the last name and you're going to have to forgive me, Mahaffey, emeritus faculty, is also with us today, he was awarded actually in 2022 an emeritus status. We thank you and we honor you today for your contributions and for being here to celebrate Commencement 2023 with Pacifica. Congratulations. Okay, and finally, to our graduates. You are graduating at a significant moment that your education, training, sensibilities, and compassion can allow you to meet. Some of you started Pacifica 2 years ago during the pandemic. Some of you have been on this journey a little longer and have watched Pacifica and the world evolve through a pandemic and its subsequent effects, many of which we may be feeling in decades to come. The COVID-19 pandemic is certainly not behind us. We hope it is, but the impacts is yet to be determined. Each of you started your degree program at Pacifica as a different person, a distinct version of yourself. I would guess for most of you that you are learning and continue to learn on your voyage, and it has been beyond your wildest dreams and imagination, I've been told. I invite you to congratulate yourselves on this profound accomplishment and to reflect on your transformation during this journey. I encourage you to celebrate your conquest, embrace your success, and enjoy this moment. What you have achieved and committed to here, whether related to your Pacifica work or your professional pursuits, is an impressive collection. In this graduating class, you are learners who served as editorial leaders, you play roles in programmatic publications, you're founders and you're activists, you're part of student groups, and you're out there in the community doing great work. Thank you. Thank you to our Fulbright scholars, semifinalists, and presenters at conferences such as the APA or the Union Society for Scholarly Studies, amongst much more, all while navigating courses, training, and research. You continue to lead in private practices, visual and performing arts, screenwriters, your teachers, your lecturers, consultants, entrepreneurs, research leaders, visionaries, and so much more. I, the leadership team, our faculty, staff, the board of trustees, we salute you. We congratulate you. You are dynamic, you're fiery, you're fascinating, you're committed, and you are a soulful force to reckon with. Thank you. Thank you all for your dedication and commitment to Pacifica's motto of tending soul in and of the world. Thank you. And in closing, let me share, the world is asking a lot of you in this moment. The world needs a lot from you. They're asking and they're needing. How you choose to answer the call, and this clarion call, and how Pacifica chooses to answer this call carries significance, and great significance indeed. I urge you to nurture, stay connected, and expand your soul family. Remain curious about the boundless possibility in front of you, around you, above you, and within you. From my experience, this is one and when transformation occurs. This is when the pain that we have experienced serves as the fuel to create the imaginal, to express and generate that which has never existed before within each of us, within our beings. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce your commenced speaker, the Honorable Dr. Diane Goodman, a member of Pacifica Classes of 2014 and 2018, after earning her MA and PhD respectively in depth psychology with specialization in Jungian and archetypal studies. Over almost 40 years, her career in law, Dr. Goodman's dedication to the rights of families, children, parents, and marriage has had an unquestioned impact. She was sworn in as a judge on February 25, 2023, and is currently sitting in a family law assignment at the Michael Antovish Antelope Valley Courthouse. Before becoming a judge, Dr. Goodman owned the Law and Meditation Office of Diane M. Goodman in Encino. She is a past member of the California State Bar Family Law Executive Committee, FlexCom, and past chair of the Adoption Subcommittee of FlexCom. Dr. Goodman was a AV-rated attorney by Martindale-Hubbell for possessing the highest level of legal competence and the highest ethical standards in rating. She's a Pacifica alumni, everyone. Dr. Goodman is the author of the Parentage Chapter of Practice under the California Family Code, published by CEB. She has handled many complex parentage issues, including acting as a co-counsel in the California Supreme Court decision regarding the rights of lesbian parents. During her work in law, Dr. Goodman developed a curiosity about the field of psychology and found the program at Pacifica, earning a degree in Jungian and archetypal studies. This provided her with experiences, language, and insight that serve her work today. Please stand and welcome with me the Honorable Diane M. Goodman to address this year's graduates. Thank you.
Lily, do you put this hand back?
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you for inviting me here today. I have a pocket in my gown in my court, but I don't here. So, thank you for inviting me here today. After I received my PhD in depth psychology in 2018, I never thought I'd be on this stage again. I was actually here in 2018 in this room. I'm honored and humbled to be here again today, and I kept a memento of that day in a pocket all this time, and I pulled it out today. I was number 1112 in line. I don't know if you all still got numbers or not. Did you still get no numbers this year? We had numbers to line up in 2018, and that was my number with my name and my degree. So I've saved it all these years because I was so honored to get this degree. Will that fall off? No, there we go. I was struggling with what to say today and how to put my divergent thoughts together. And then, as happens especially at Pacifica, I had a dream. Right? I woke up from this dream knowing what I wanted to say and how to put it all together. I'm going to share with you today my journey to Pacifica. It starts with how my childhood wounds got in the way of my learning and in completing my education, and how therapy helped me heal those wounds. Then I'm going to address what those of you who will be working as mental health professionals can do to help others heal their wounds, especially with those people who are involved in parties in the court system. A couple of years ago, I took a trip to the South to visit civil rights museums. While there, I bought a plaque that I keep in my office. It says, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase." It's attributed to Dr. Martin Luther King. I have lived my life taking steps, even though I was never sure where they would lead. As a child, I was never a great student. Many of my report cards said that I wasn't working to my potential. I never understood what that meant and why that happened until many years later. I grew up in a family that had their own struggles and traumas and passed some of that down to me. Most of you are probably aware of the Adverse Childhood Experience or ACEs test. I'm sure you've studied it.
I took the ACEs test, and my ACEs score was 4 out of 10. This score increased my chances of having problems as an adult. But how it really impacted me was in my ability to learn and to do well in school. Having chaos at home makes it hard to be a good student. Now, looking back, I can see why my report card said that I wasn't working at my potential. But for some, it can have the opposite effect. I had a classmate who was a straight-A student. His family looked perfect on the outside. His father was a successful professional. His mother, the perfect stay-at-home mom. Both children got great grades and excelled at everything. I was always jealous of how together they seemed. After I became a lawyer, my classmate, who also became a lawyer, called me for help with his mother. She was finally ready to leave a very abusive marriage. He had grown up witnessing domestic violence. I had no idea. The lesson that I learned is what happens at home may affect children in many different ways. While I struggled in school, my friend became a perfectionist in order to not get hurt at home. I started college in 1976, forever ago, at Johnston College at the University of Redlands. My parents said that I could attend there for 1 year. They didn't really approve of the school. They didn't like the co-ed dorms, my gay male roommate, or the co-ed bathrooms, let alone that there were no required classes and you could negotiate your own program. I loved my year at Johnston. It was like Pacifica in many ways. It was filled with amazing professors who wanted to share their knowledge and curious students eager to learn. In the same semester, I took Gestalt Awareness and Constitutional Law. Clearly, this was laying out the path of my life, but I couldn't see it at the time. After my year there, I didn't have the parental support to continue, so I dropped out of school and became a community organizer. And I was a machinist between doing community organizing. I worked at a lot of low-income social services clinics, and I also did organizing. I worked with renters to establish rent control laws and to stop apartments from being converted to condominiums. Doing this work, I met an attorney who said that he would hire me if I went to law school. I'd always wanted to be a lawyer, but after dropping out of college, being a lawyer seemed out of reach. I investigated finishing my bachelor's degree versus going straight to law school. I was able to get a larger student loan as a graduate student than as an undergraduate, even though the tuition for both was the same. So I spoke with some friends who were lawyers and decided to go to law school. I had a good LSAT score, so law schools would take me, but not the top-ranked schools. My friends said that wouldn't matter if I didn't want to work at a big firm. At the time, my now wife and I had just started dating. Being good feminists in the 70s, we went to therapy together to work on our relationship. The therapist we saw didn't give much hope to our staying together, probably because we were so young and that I didn't have any good role models for how to be in a relationship. She suggested that we each see her for therapy separately. She was a somatic therapist, but I didn't know the word at that time. I just knew that her touch was bringing up feelings that I didn't have words for, and she was helping me to feel better. When it came time to apply to law school, I had lots of unopened student loan envelopes. I was afraid that what was in those envelopes would keep me from going to law school. I vividly recall sitting on the floor of her office, opening the envelopes, and using her corded phone, remember those days, to call student loan people to see what I had to do to go back to school. It turned out that whatever was in those envelopes wasn't a problem at all. She provided parenting that I didn't have and had never experienced. I'll always be grateful for her for helping me to get into law school. Because I didn't even have an associate's degree, I had to take the first-year law student exam at the end of my first year, also called the baby bar, in order to continue in school. This is the exam that Kim Kardashian just passed. A very stern male professor offered to tutor the 5 or 6 of us that needed to take the exam. He provided a demanding but kind father figure that I never had, kind of like Dr. Slater did with the master's exam. We'll talk about that later. I passed the exam on my first try and was able to continue in law school. I graduated law school. Now I had to take the bar exam. Even though I passed the baby bar, I had such a strong fear of failure and of self-sabotage that I decided to meet with a therapist who did hypnosis to help me focus on the exam. I have misophonia, a word that I didn't know at the time. I find noises like people chewing unpleasant. So while hypnotized, I studied while the therapist ate and her gardeners mowed the lawn outside the window. As luck or synchronicity would have it, I took the bar exam sitting next to a woman who was pregnant and needed to eat during the exam. The bar exam is 3 days long. The hypnosis worked. At the end of the first day, I saw an empty banana peel and other evidence of things she had eaten, and I didn't notice her eating at all. 4 months later, I found out that I passed the exam. For the next 38 years, I practiced family law, first as a lawyer, later as a mediator. During this time, I always thought the degree in psychology would help me as a family law lawyer and mediator. But again, it felt out of reach. In 2007, my life changed when my now 19-year-old son was arrested and sent to prison. I didn't know what to do with my grief. My friends sent me to a grief workshop called Growth in Transition. This workshop focused on a lesser-known aspect of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's grief theory, which involved doing somatic work with people experiencing grief and loss. I loved the symbolic language I learned and found profound healing in this workshop. I decided I needed to know how this worked and reached out to a friend for guidance on where I could learn more about this. She suggested I might like to attend Pacifica. I looked into Pacifica and decided the Jungian and Archetypal Studies program would be perfect for me. The classes looked exactly like what I wanted to learn about, synchronicity, dreams, etc. And since I'm an ENTJ, thinking is my strong suit and feelings are my weak spot. Find that I can frequently reach my feelings through my intellect. I didn't know it then, but this program also turned out to be a great way to work through the grief of my son's arrest. However, Pacifica wouldn't let me in because I didn't have a bachelor's degree. I tried everything I could do to be admitted with just my Juris Doctorate. It didn't work. But I wanted to attend Pacifica so badly that I went back to school while working full-time and obtained my bachelor's degree in 2011 so that I could come to Pacifica. Thank you. For those of you who are out of school for a long time before starting at Pacifica, I imagine that learning APA formatting for your papers was a challenge, right? But because I spent 3 years getting my bachelor's degree, the advantage was that I learned APA formatting. So while my classmates were freaking out and hiring editors, I knew how to format a paper and how to save my references in Word. Every step of our journey has a reason. And one of the reasons for my bachelor's degree was to learn APA formatting. Aside from getting admitted to Pacifica. I loved my time at Pacifica, the small classes and brilliant professors sharing their knowledge, and the curious students reminded me of my time at Johnston College. I couldn't get enough of what I was learning. It was all new to me. I didn't even have the vocabulary for what I was learning that first year, so I made flashcards. I was reading 300-plus pages per week while still working practically full-time. My years at Pacifica were an exhilarating time. I loved every minute that I spent here. I was encouraged by my professors to lean into my wounds instead of avoiding them. So my dissertation was on mothers who have adult children in prison. I interviewed 3 other mothers besides myself. All of our children were very young adults when they were arrested, and all were given long sentences. I'm happy to say that 2 of the adult children have since been released from prison and are doing well, and the 3rd will be released just this July. This gives me hope for my son. I was also encouraged by my dissertation chair to see a Jungian analyst. I had been in therapy during my time getting my bachelor's degree and when starting at Pacifica, but it was time for something different. I found a Jungian analyst who was in the process of being certified as a somatic therapist. And most importantly, she was across the street from my office. Another synchronicity. It was just what I needed for the next phase of my healing. She helped me to go deeper into my wounds, and she interviewed me for my dissertation using the same questions that I had asked my other participants. I think this made my responses more authentic. In my life after Pacifica, I took what I learned here and used it in my mediation practice. Pacifica gave me the skills to see what was happening that the parties weren't talking about. What were the unconscious motivations that were driving the conflict in their divorce? If I could find that, I could easily help them settle their disputes. Pacifica taught me even more critical listening than I had learned in law school. About a year after I graduated from Pacifica, some judges kept asking me to apply to be a judge. It was not something I ever even considered. I was thinking that I'd continue mediating until I retired. But they kept pushing, so I started filling out the application. Applying to be a judge makes a grad school application look easy. AFCC notes the many areas of expertise that a therapist needs to work with court-involved families. Some of the skills you'll need include child development and coping, developmental tasks, child interviewing and suggestibility, children's decision-making ability, factors in divorcing families that increase risk to children and those that promote resilience, determining if there's domestic violence, high conflict dynamics and the risks of children being exposed to that. Think back to the ACEs test. Resist and refuse dynamics. That's what used to be called parental alienation. Parenting and behavioral interventions, and of course, how different ethnic, cultural, and non-traditional families parent. You're now going to be taking that next step of going out in the world to be a healer. Please take the healing that you've learned here at Pacifica and the healing that I hope you've personally experienced during your time here out into the world, into the work that you do to help others experience the healing that I've been grateful to receive. I couldn't see anything but the first step when I applied to be a judge, or even when I applied to be at Pacifica. I never thought that I would make it to the step of being sworn in as a judge, yet here I am today, a judge with a PhD in depth psychology. Thank you. I also encourage you all to take that first step or your next step after Pacifica, whatever that is for you, no matter how scary that is, and see where it leads you. Reach for your wildest goals. It's possible to reach them. Congratulations on completing this milestone in your life. I hope you are all very proud of what you accomplished. I'm very proud of all of you. In a few minutes, I hope you'll join me as a proud Pacifica alumni. Thank you.
Dr. Goodman, thank you for your presence and words with our graduating class and your work as an advocate and proud alum of Pacifica Graduate Institute. We will now move to the presentations of degrees to our graduates, where they will all be invited to the stage by program and row to have their names called. We will ask that you go through the honor of being hooded and presented with your diplomas on stage. We will start with the students in the MA Counseling Psychology program to present the MA graduates.
Hi, Dr. Mattison and I are back here to do the closing. And that means all graduates stand. And I think you're ready to turn those tassels. Congratulations to the graduates of 2023. Thank you all for enduring with us these last few minutes. We want to thank everyone who is here, all of you who've come out to support today, and our entire Pacifica community. Getting this back into this space took us a little bit more time than we thought. But it's okay, because we're now ready to celebrate. So thank you all. Congratulations to the class of 2023.
You are now dismissed.